Right, here we are. See how it goes. Hang on. Receiving. Nobody around yet. Okay. Well, anyway, basically I'm going to be making a video. That's right. Oh, excuse me. So of course anyone watching this will be able to see how it all goes. Right, so of course, the start of a project, give it a little name. Archery speed shooting, maybe third attempt, because I did a couple of attempts several years ago actually. Yes, I know I'm live, thank you. Right, third attempt, yeah, got that saved. Now I've found it easier to just drag and drop files rather than normally I go into file, import, media, blah blah blah, all of that stuff happens. Let's just check. Yeah, you can hear me. But I actually, these days, drag and drop. Let's just see. Oh, a couple of watches. Anyway, so yeah, I'll be still watching out for your questions and answering them if you wish. But in the meantime, you can watch, rather than me just sort of going back and forth between stuff like treatises, which I've done a few times, and I'll probably end up doing the same pages and the same bits and talking about the same points. So it'd be maybe interesting to do something different and have these. So you'll notice basically I get the whole MVI, all of this. It's actually the default name, so when I copy them from the camera they've got this, but I keep these parts because it's in chronological order. Like I know this was made before this, but made before this, and I know how long ago this was made, even if I don't know exactly when they were made. You know, I'd probably need to go into the properties and check their sort of time and date and all that. I know. Okay, that's from early December last year. So I still know that this was made before this, and it's useful to keep it in order. And also the order in which the clips were made for the same video. Now for this, we've got the Amber, which actually means my old camera. Let's grab this, see if any questions have popped in. Whoops, wrong one. Nothing yet. Okay. So, of course I do some of this. It's a bit of a short video. In fact, I was going to do some stuff before, but no need to faff about. People like quick videos. And I think a minute is yeah, that's it's quick. Just start off a few general bits. This is me sort of gauging and testing on the screen, getting to the right position. So maybe I'll keep a little bit in. I don't want it. Probably from that bit, the crunching. Yeah, this is me doing some archery. I was going to use a more powerful bow, but I didn't find my archery glove. So, unfortunately, I actually had an attempt, and my fingers just hurt.
2, 1, go.
In fact, let's have it a more smooth fade.
Three, 2, 1, go.
You can have a look at this in the meantime. But yeah, it wasn't too bad for someone who's not had proper speed shooting practice in a while, a long time, literally years. I'd say I did not too bad. Ah, autistic scream from Brazil. Oh, fellow autistic, or maybe you mean just. Oh, can that arrow pass? Now there's a loaded question. I mean, in general, for the most part, no. It really depends on the type of armour, because, well, the area of the armour most especially. Something like a helmet, typically the I think usually is the thickest piece of armour. it just becomes a basic no. Because they're usually, I mean, I don't know their exact dimensions and thicknesses on the actual historical versions, but in modern versions you'd usually get them in something like 14 or 12 gauge, pretty thick steel for a helmet. So assuming you don't get shot in an eye slit or something like that, it's just not going through. Something on the other hand, like the part on the hand or the fingers, they require a lot more flexibility, and in that situation you are much more likely to get something to penetrate through. But besides that, of course, it depends on the quality of the armour, because some items of armour were properly hard. You've got properly hardened ones, you've got items with better quality metallurgy in the sort of later medieval period and the Renaissance afterwards, whereas earlier you had less plate, you had, generally when you're shooting at a knight, you're hoping to get the gaps. I mean, you look at things like the Battle of Agincourt, most of the knights seemed to have survived, the actual French knights, whereas, in earlier battles before plate armour, you'd get lots of arrows being shot and you'd expect people to die en masse. And there are a lot of... there were casualties in terms of wounded on the French side in Agincourt, but in terms of actual deaths, as in fatal wounds, not that many. In fact, quite a lot of them, there were a significant number of people who were defeated as such, but survived unscathed. It's just, they were overwhelmed in terms of force and tactics and abilities and were captured. Because, if someone's, taking you down to the ground and has a dagger pointing at your face, would you say, I'll keep fighting? Or would you say, I think I'll surrender at this point. I'll give you that one. It was just typical for war. You'd get ransomed back, so that was an expectation set. So yeah, although there are a few situations and scenarios and contexts where, arrows could pass through plate armour, in general, no. Like I say, you're expecting, if you're shooting a volley of arrows, you're creating this rain, and just like water rain, you're hoping that something's gonna tap on the eye, or get you in the gap in the neck, or something. Or at least scare you off with that much power, even if there's no deadly effect. Just having such a weight of shot bearing down on you might well scare you off. Now, let's check all this. So we've got... maybe tone that down a little bit. You know what, I don't really need more of that. Here we go. Let's try this.
3, 2, 1, go.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Need to just write this. Default text. See my channel for more archery other videos. Okay, so see my channel for more X and other videos. It's a little sort of classic thing I do. I don't know why. It just seems to be consistent, and I usually make a new line on that, and I can see that you guys can watch the shooting stuff. There we go to this little delay. So yeah, this is how my videos get edited. So I get that default bit, but I like to Lindy Beige style have something interesting being said in the end segment. So I usually create a new copy of that same bit of text, but then you've got something interesting. So So I'd be making some comment about what happened in a video, what's coming up in a new video. No, with arrows, in terms of things like blunt damage, I wouldn't expect it. Arrows are fairly lightweight. Of course, you've got a lot of power and stiffness, especially the... I don't know how much you'd know about archery, but one of the things that archers do is they actually have what's called their spine, the stiffness of an arrow. Basically, depending on how weak or strong the bow is, you actually have a different what's called spine. So a stiffer arrow can come out of a more powerful bow without just exploding or snapping itself as soon as it leaves the bow. Because of course, when the string is released, it pushes on the arrow. And if you've got a powerful enough shot, because it's happening so quickly and snappily, it can actually, on weaker arrows, cause it to bend, even not pushing against a wall or anything, just against the air, bends itself and snaps. So in that way, you'd have, you know, arrows that are spined to be stiffer or weaker, but you want to have it still have some flexibility so it wobbles and then sort of spins in flight, like rifling. So you'd have those things spined on the arrow, so you'd have potentially quite a bit of stiffness, you know, quite decent durable materials. You'd have, you know, weight very much towards the head because of the, you know, so it's got more of the force in that initial part to penetrate the armor better, things like that. But the actual weight of an arrow, nonetheless, is very lightweight. Yeah, it's hard to say without actually, you know, holding on your hands, but it is basically like a little stick, essentially. I mean, if you tried to whack someone with it, it would snap. It's not, you know, it's not to say that arrows are weak. You know, they are, again, they're very stiff, they're very strong, they can give an extreme punch on things like mail armor, through thick padded gambesons, through, you know, ribs and through your flesh, and going into vital organs and all sorts of things, but they're not very heavy, so I would expect practically no you know, blunt impact from an arrow, because it's kind of like a spear. Spears, I wouldn't expect too much impact from a spear because it just goes through things. It's not a weight that's being used to smack something. It's just this driving force in a fine point that punctures through. So maybe if you had kind of like a LARP arrows, you know, live action roleplay, or reenactment arrows, or something like that, which had blunt areas, then yeah, I mean, you could actually have quite a powerful shot turn into quite a thud, an impact. But when you're talking about actual war arrows that were designed to, you know, injure or kill people, of course, suffice it to say, they'd be sharp. So with that point, it's not going to do any blunt impact. It's either going to bounce off or it's going to punch through, and nothing in between. Because you get, I mean, we bear in mind things like breastplates. They have their own kind of springiness. So it's not like being pushed against you yourself. You've got this sort of, almost like a gap sometimes between a chest plate and yourself. Plus the padding, you know, the actual gambesons and mail armor, things like that. Those are there as sort of cushioning layers, so you might not even feel a shot that happens against you, except maybe the vibration. Again, I haven't been shot at wearing armor, but I have shot with bows, and I felt there's a lot of power in them again, but it's never an impact power. It's like you know, again, the difference between having someone who's, let's say someone doing a powerful stabbing motion. If you have your strength and your muscles, it's like the difference between stabbing with a needle, you know, like an injection needle, and using a hammer. You've got the same person with the same amount of force and strength, but with the needle, you don't really feel any sort of pushback or force until maybe you've reached right back to the hand and it's just the punching force. Whereas with something like a hammer, it's going to be a complete thud and impact. It's that sort of idea. What should I put? Probably apologies. Not uploading a video mid-week. Well, I was expecting to... what was I expecting to do? Whoops. That should be centralised. I was expecting to get a sparring video made. But didn't. Yeah, I was quite tired from work. Made. Should probably say recorded. There we are. Oh, not quite central. There we go. Perfect. And then save. Let's have a look for more questions. It's exciting. Okay, I was worried it'd be a bit boring watching the editing process. But yeah, here we go. This would be the full video. I mean, you'd have potentially a layer for music. I might have a... Yeah, I'll probably go for some music. I haven't done it in ages because the problem was it was getting a little bit obnoxious and people were actually deciding it was... And I look at some of my older videos and I really don't like the music volume. So I know it's good having some stuff like my old favourite Adrian von Ziegler, you know, royalty-free music, but I don't want to kind of make it obnoxious. So it's like that would be really loud. No. Let me think. I know there was some... That's too metal. Maybe this. So, 342. Okay. So I do this. Yeah, I tell you what, I will put some music in for once. First, I need to do that so that it doesn't show up. Otherwise, you're going to see the background because I've kind of just grabbed it from YouTube for the moment. I really should donate to him. It's a bit naughty of me, but there you go. And now, of course, it's going to end up too loud because it's like this. Apologies to people who just died through their headphones. So I'm going to turn it right back. Minus 35. Let's try that.
3, 2, 1, go.
Yeah. Okay, I can increase the volume of this a little bit. Oh wait, no I can't. Ooh, any of these bits mean... Oh yeah, okay, so I go back to here. So that compares to these. And I have a little bit of cut off afterwards. And I let it fade out gradually. Maybe give it 5 seconds. I'm not usually, you know, 5 and 10 sort of fanatic, but that will do in this case.
3, 2, 1.
Yeah, you can hear the music. It's there as a nice background, but it's not obnoxious. I think this is good. How's it when it gets louder? In fact, I might even make it a bit quieter still.
Three, 2, 1, go.
Shame I don't know how to put a counter up, because then I could show how many seconds it takes. Would you say chainmail is the only good against absorbing slash damage? What about blunt? Oh, you use only Vegas as well. Anyway, in terms of mail armor, I have worn it when sparring, so luckily, unlike with things like armor, I've got some ideas. This I've actually got a proper idea of, because I've been struck with blunt impact while wearing mail armor. First thing to note is the fact that, of course, you should wear padding underneath it. That's one thing. But in terms of the actual mail armor itself, I find it doesn't absorb the blunt impact. It doesn't, in the literal sense, absorb it, as in quite, take it. But it does deflect well. Now, that's a weird answer, but let me explain. With my mail armor, I have found, even when I'm trying to do things like lounge around, lounging armor and all that, I try to put a blanket on and it slips off. And very much with things like cuts, thrusts, smacks, anything like that, whatever kind of attack is going towards me, the mail armor is very good at deflecting it away. Now, this means, even with a blunt impact, it's very good at turning aside those attacks. So if you have something that's maybe a thrust, where my body is at, my torso is at an angle, like here, where I'm standing now, if someone, let's say, tried to stab a sword at me, maybe because my body is turned sideways on, it would just glance straight off with mail armor on, whereas with just clothing on, it might stab in and then, ugh! Even with perhaps a blunt impact, someone trying to go straight down, or I don't know, go across, or in whatever way, maybe try to hit on my arm. If it's at a bit of an angle, it deflects away. So obviously in that case, I'm receiving a lot less impact and a lot less force. But what's really got me when I'm using mail armor is stuff like your sort of hits to the kidney, to the ribs, those areas, because those sorts of what are called swirchows and those sorts of horizontal attacks smack me directly. They're straight on, there's no deflection, it just directly hits me. And at that point, I feel it almost exactly as much as without the armor. Actually, or do I? No, I'm trying to remember now, because I've been struck. No, scratch that. No, it does absorb it to a degree, I guess. A noticeable degree, but, not enough that I'd want to use it on its own against a Warhammer or something. It still hurts a hell of a lot. But it would hurt even more of a hell of a lot without the mail armor on. So I guess it does absorb to a degree, because it kind of, you get the force and it sort of ripples along the rings. But it doesn't really take those direct hits quite so nicely. It's the real beauty in chainmail is when it hits at a slight off angle where it's not perfect, when that opponent doesn't give you the ideal, the perfect test cutting style strike, and then suddenly it punishes them for not being perfect, and then it just glances the blow away, whether it's sharp or blunt. That's the long and short of it. So yeah, obviously with something like slashing damage with chopping, the steel rings can stop even a straight on cut dead, because it's steel. Unless you've got something that's going to chop through steel and, sort of layers of it, then it's not going to cut. But with things like blunt force and stabbing, yeah, it can turn those away as well, because with the deflection, various strikes which are imperfect, which frankly in a chaotic fight, I'd say are going to happen quite a lot, imperfect, not quite precise strikes. It's going to turn them aside. And that's the beauty of it. And I feel when people do things like testing armor, like my old videos that I've just made public again, the old Chainmail Versus series, the chainmail armor sat there, it's on a target that sat still, it's perpendicular to me, it's, straight on, I can make sure to get my measure and do everything perfectly for that just right strike that's gonna not really let the armour show you its true beauty. Because, again, its beauty is in the deflection. That's the best bit about mail armour, and actually probably one of the best bits about plate armour. But its absorption can also be very extreme, unlike chainmail. So that's... let's see this video from the beginning if there are no more questions yet. Not yet. Okay. So here's what we'd have.
2,
I won't render it because it will make my computer grind to a near halt and might stop the live stream. But it's just me staring at a percentage bar that very slowly crawls. Even though this video is only a minute long or so. Well, a minute and 20. Yeah, it would probably take about half an hour to render it. Yeah. I don't know why. I'm not the most accurate with a bow. But I do seem to be very good at shooting quickly. Oops. Snapped a little bit. Perfect. So yeah, there it goes to the... See my channel for more archery and other videos. Let's just make sure it's all central aligned. It's not. That's why it looks a bit funny. There we go. Slight, subtle change, but it makes the difference. And then this is the space where I'd put loads of stuff. Like, what's a good example? Stuff like, oh, you know, the, what they call an end screen. You get links to various videos. Let's see what I can get from the light shot and all that crap. That rubbish. Oh. Whenever I'm on my computer like this and just, you know, going through, here we go, stuff for my videos. I'm always paranoid there's going to be like, there's some porn on there or something that's just going to be in front of everyone, but I don't know why. Anyway, let's see, what's a good image? I mean, I like these, but these are clearly for, oh! I like this. Or even, I'll grab both of those screenshots. Whoopsie, I need to put it the other way around, so these will go up here. And this will go underneath. And I'll make it fairly faded. Not too faded though. I want to make sure it doesn't just suddenly appear like that. Snap! There it is! Whoa! Jarring. Let it fade in. Whoa! Oh, it's done that thing where it's jumped my screen. Little buggers. There we are. I'll just have 18. There we are. Fragments. Oh, there's something I forgot to do. Shadows. I forgot I was going to put one of these in. Little background pictures. So shadow enable. A bit too far out. 0.02, not 0.2. No blurring, and then you get this solid sort of... It almost looks like a 3D effect. I very much like it. Makes the text easier to see, makes it look prettier, and all of that. Yeah, see that? Now it's solid. Too far out. So we go 0 to 2. Slightly off, because if you have it at 0, it's going to be directly behind the text and you won't see it. Might as well not have a shadow. But there we go. So you have that. Now let me try the other screenshot. Maybe it will look better. Yes, it does. So it starts brighter. I can then add some fade. It's got lots of detail to it. Whereas with the other one, it was kind of dark in the first place. So I can have it fade quite a bit. There we go. Beautiful. So you got this bit. You've got fade out, fade in, hello, blah blah blah, all of that stuff. Yeah. Fast forward. Love being able to do this. There we go. Just in case anyone wants to know, this is what my video is like if I... Oh, let's make it 1.2 times. Watch this. And here we go.
3, 2, 1, go.
Half speed. Look at that, I'm so fast. Whoa! Deadliest archer. Wow, did you see? I mean, it's already quite fast when I do a little flick thing with my dexterity, but when you've got in 1.5 times speed, that's just... Boom! Yeah. Forget, what is it, 10 arrows a minute in the English army. How about 100?
3, 2, 1, go.
Oh god, he's just so fast! Look at that! PC Genie is the world champion. Yeah. Oh, what have we here? Well, oh, also, welcome back. Haven't seen you in a while. What we have here is my editing of my next video, which is, well, as I put in the title, it's the speed shooting that I've done. I have got my previous attempts. I think I would call it speed shooting, as opposed to archery speed shooting. I just haven't downloaded it yet. Speed shooting me versus Ryan. That was the air rifle speed shooting. Archery? Wait, maybe it is archery speed shooting. Asperger's syndrome, attempt to 40 blade. Archery. No, I haven't downloaded it. So if YouTube destroyed my channel tomorrow, I wouldn't have that video anymore. Ever. Oh, fast bow shooting. Oh god. So here's my first attempt.
Competitions or any other kind of archery like that. It's just a little fun thing and an experimental thing.
Oh, my beard! What is that? It's basically a sketch. It's like someone scribbled on my face.
Too fast, they shoot ridiculously fast. It's not too good for my aim sometimes, but
And my voice is so high pitched.
I'm not sure how fast I can shoot today. And just to test myself. Right, 3, 2, 1, go.
You can see I was still pretty damn fast back then. In fact, maybe faster because I was doing archery regularly.
Yellows and gold. Oh, yeah.
In fact,
I mean, reds and gold.
here's a fun fact for my subscribers. This is pretty much the only video you'll ever see where I'm wearing jeans. Because I went through a phase where I tried them because my auntie and people like that were trying to buy them for me. Maybe because it was so fashionable even more than now. But yeah, I've got jeans, but I never wear them. Ever. I just don't like jeans. If you try to lunge, if you try to fight in them, if you try to do pretty much anything more than a half waddling walk in them, I feel like I'm going to split them apart. They get tight on the groin, they get tight on the knees, all sorts.
I don't recommend this for...
So yeah, that's my first attempt. Oh, it's only midday in California. Oh right, well it's 8 o'clock in the evening here. So here's my second attempt.
Right, basically what I'm going to be doing
Oh, my voice!
Making my second attempt at shooting at the target over there as fast as possible. Basically...
I said basically again.
Fire for these babies. Well, not particularly good, but...
Still got it. And it's looking at my arse instead of my face. Basically again. I think I was still in puberty, my voice is wobbling. Hang on, that's the second video with jeans on, okay. Must have been a phase for a bit then. But I know I never wore jeans before or after that particular couple of months. I did make the 2 attempts at speed shooting almost immediately after each other. They were at most a month or 2 apart, but most likely just a week or 2 apart. Wait, did I stagger a bit? I tried to catch my bow, but then I accidentally fell backwards. So here I am. Yeah, I've just shot. Watch. Yeah. Oh, whoa! It's like I was drunk, except I wasn't.
I have to say.
Walking with the camera. That's
Not
so
exactly the
difficult.
worst consistency I was expecting for.
Oh, I'm more
Background
consistent these days, at
speaking.
least.
In
What
fact,
was
it
that?
Good. For
It's like a
speed shooting,
shotgun,
except
a
for
sawn-off
this arrow
shotgun.
here, which has ended up almost missing the target, but
How many people are watching this embarrassment? Seems to be how we asked me. So, can you guys hear and see me okay? Let's just check it's going on about the stream health being orange. Let's just check it's alright. Good. Also, hello, Hexivoid. There we are. Anyway, yes. So this is my second attempt.
all in all, that went all right.
So if we go back to that.
So,
This was back in... What year was it? Let me just check just before he starts. What? Unblock. It's my own video. Anyway. Small file size. I downloaded it in 2016, but pretty sure this is one of the videos from back in 2010. Interesting. I don't use the sort of finger whip type of thing. Also, fun fact, in this particular video, I was shooting at the bottom right of the target because the centre of this was so shot through that if I shot an arrow into it, the arrow would go completely through it. In fact, I think in that one a couple did. I love that stagger. Wait, here it is. Whoa! Whoa! Anyway. So back to my current attempt. So I think I might be a little bit... Well, I'm definitely more consistent.
2, 1, go.
I'm definitely... Well, I like the flick. I've done that before, many times in speed shooting, even around those times back in 2010. But I was stopped because the archery club was saying I might hit someone in the face and it's health and safety, so I kind of deliberately got myself out of it. But for speed shooting, I mean, if I'm at an archery club or something, I'd never do that anymore. After what they've said. But, obviously, here I am on my own. Just doing some speed shooting where I know nobody's going to get spiked. So, yeah. Flick. Knock. Draw. Shoot. Knock. Draw. Loose. Angry face. And I didn't stagger that time. Perfect. That will be ready for rendering. Yeah. Oh, speaking of embarrassing montage, here's something you guys will never see. There was something I deleted. There was something to do with forging, I think it was when I was forging the knife blade, because I've got my, well, the actual forge itself was out in the sort of garden area, so I didn't burn the whole house down. And I'd sometimes be rushing back and forth to bits like the grinder and other tools in my workbench, which was inside the garage. And there was a significant sound of flatulence when I ran up the stairs this one time, which was it was in a separate clip or something. I don't know why, but it was separate to the main video that I had, and I deleted it. It was that embarrassing. I've got outtakes as well, but which I've posted on the Patreon. But no, I guess they're not as funny as the others, because I mean, usually if you see these videos and I'm there going, "Hey guys, how are you?" and I'm in a pretty good mood now. But sometimes when I'm making these videos, I'm now going, "Oh, stupid car, and oh, birds, oh god." I sound like some sort of grumpy neighbour or something who's just encountered the next door neighbour's football in their garden or something. Get a bit angry at myself and at everything else. Actually, it's been pretty good today. Anyway, see if there are questions. Wait, what? Have a nice day and Merry Christmas? It's the 28th of January. I mean, granted, at my workplace we're having a Christmas, quote, Christmas, unquote, meal in... Ooh. Oh yes, okay. Having a Christmas meal in February, which I thought was hilarious, and quite ironically, apparently I've had it before in times like June. You know, the opposite time of year to Christmas. Brilliant. But, yeah. I think that Christmas should stay around December. Try to keep it universal. Oh, excuse me. At my club, we're actually doing stuff on sword in one hand. God, I'm almost getting to the point where I'll be able to teach a lesson or two if I practice enough. I mean, I'd previously done live streams on these bits where you start in the long tail, you go up into the window, basically sweeping up, take their sword aside, and thrust. I actually managed it in sparring in a clip I did afterwards. That was the arming sword versus longsword one from a couple of weeks ago, something like that. But looked at some of these others as well. See something I haven't done yet. I've mentioned even these. No, it's actually no wonder they don't do much. Fury de la Berry doesn't have that much on sword in one hand. There's plenty in terms of sword in two hands. You got the guards, that's the guard lady. Two versions, the extreme right on your back, the sort of less extreme on your shoulder version. I like the extreme one. Archer's stance, so you can throw your sword. The long tail, one hand and two hand. Great. This is half swording, probably an iron door of it. Similar sort of thing, but point back instead of point forwards. Guard lady again, but slight variations. Guard lady, which is if you're, looks like holding the sword upside down in your what do you call it, sort of murder stroke, Mordhau, or, you know, half swording type of thing. Goes on about the blows that you can do. More stances, the window I mentioned. Iron door, long point, all of these kinds of things. 2 horns, so plenty of that. Actual plays, so, you know, people fighting, individual techniques, what to do in a bind, at the distance play, all sorts, and it goes on here, and there's some grappling, unarmed, kicking people, beats, riposte, and bearing in mind, a lot of this, you could, well, I guess that might be why they don't have it in one-handed, maybe. Let's see what order you've listed it here. I wonder if it's similar to the... Okay, so you got sword in one hand, then sword in 2 hands. Don't know what order it's in the book, but, I mean, like I've just said, that probably answers my own question why they didn't... Why Fiore didn't cover it so much. Because a lot of this you can do with one hand. I mean, some of them, like the boar's tooth stance, you wouldn't really work. 2-horn stance. I mean, you can obviously switch into 2 hands with a one-handed sword. But, you know, a lot of things like the long tail, the guard lady, things like this you can do. Crossing, yeah, mid-sword. Probably take it slightly offline. And then cut down at the forearm, same thing of one-handed. As you can see here, grabbing the sword with one hand, then using the other hand of your sword, and then whew, chop out at the neck or something. That you could do with one hand, you could do same sort of thing here, and here, and here, probably. Definitely here. I mean, this is going into the crown. Quillen's horizontal, catch their blade deliberately on this bit, raise it up so your head's safe, and keeping their sword up and out of the way, and then you kick them in the groin, or even do a push kick in the chest, so you get them off balance, and then you can chop down or grab their weapon or throw them all kinds of things. Anyway, I think I've gone off on a tangent. Ah yes, forgot to wish me a Merry Christmas. Yeah, it is never too late, I guess. Oh, I haven't seen your outtakes, Derpy. No, I've never seen those. But yeah, I can imagine with the things you discuss, they can get quite heated. That's why I usually don't discuss things like politics. Too much anger and all of that. In fact, I went out on a limb and got quite heavily punished for talking about my Fighters Against Racism t-shirt. Lost about 5 subscribers between then and early January. It's quite staggering, really. I made net losses for the first time in years. You know, across a month. Anyway, so a lot of these... I'm trying to remember. This looks... Oh, I remember these techniques. I haven't done them in ages. That you could do with one-handed. That... I'm trying to remember how you end up in that situation, though. But basically, for some reason, which I'll remember probably way too late, you can end up getting quite close to your opponent. You use... Oh, that's it. No, you start with a bind that looks like this. You know, with the swords crossed. Maybe something like that. Swords crossed, or this. Oh, well, this. Yeah, pretty much like that. This is actually the exchange of thrust. You can see he's finishing his points offline and he's thrusting into the neck. Garter means the winner. And, yeah, you can, instead of doing something like taking the point offline and then stabbing, you can deliberately go around with your hilt and then use your pommel, dig in between their arms. So he's pushed his pommel in between there. That's the bad guy's arms. And then when he's put his sword there, he sort of pulls their hands down and then pushes with the sword. You can either do that, kind of use your hand into their face, or do something like that. He looks chuffed. And, yeah, so Quillen goes in there in between the arms, and then push around there, and you can start sawing at their neck, or, you know, just using the sword as a bar, even if you don't expect the sharp, you know, the sharp edge to do anything, because there's no impact and no sawing motion, no slicing. You can still just use it as a bar to push the opponent and manipulate them, and it's almost a bit like certain types of throws. Whoop, it's taken me away. Hang on, let's get back there. Here we go. So yeah, quite a lot of things you can do. And of course, go around with the sword. You can use it behind the neck as a sort of a bar. And again, I mean, I've actually, I remember, ooh, I've got some old clips actually, which show. There's a new folder. I got test cutting, no videos, Project Zomboid. Oh, here we are. Overtale. This was some development for Overtale, a video game which is based on Undertale, which is sort of a fan game by someone called Adam Chapman. So there was some stuff like animation like this, just, you know, idle. This is going to be like an idle animation. I'm wearing chainmail because why not? But there was some stuff where I showed it's going to be one of these or something. So there was a sword. Hang on. No, this is getting struck. This is the same thing. That's the actual, that's the, at the air general. I'm trying to remember where it was. There was some stuff we actually had the proper. Oh, this we had the, yeah, this was stave. Okay, so we'll be in here. Should be in one of the. I'll have to go through all the embarrassing getting hit by someone. That's same thing. I can't see a sword there. Maybe it's here? There's one. Nope. Same thing again. Baton. Maybe I didn't record and I didn't have it on here. I mean, no, he recorded. Ah! I'm sure there was something with the sword, because I know I actually showed it. I don't know if it's on the recording note, because there's one where I actually did the very technique I'm talking about, where you take the sword behind, and it's like a. The idea was it was going to be like a finishing move, like, you know, your last hit on your opponent, and instead of doing a normal, just, you know, striking at them and being successful, it actually does a proper animation for, goes around, uses the sword as a bar around the opponent's neck and then throws them down. I know for a fact that I actually did that particular stand walking. There's the animation that was for the idle, ready, stand sword. Maybe that means, oh no, that's just idle and standing. This would be the actual strikes. Yeah, so that's going from Falcon to Window Guard. It's just out there. Falcon. I do what's called a fendente, which is a standard cleaving cut. Starting up there, I cleave through, and I then turn around back onto the shoulder. So these were the strikes at the air. There was also one which was a special skill attack, which was a feint, all those things. Tips and tricks about chainmail coifs. Curious. I don't know Final Shot Miss. To be honest, I mean, I've worn a male coif before at an event. That was the Breathe for Joe charity event for someone who had cancer, I do believe. Yeah, someone who had lung cancer, and to raise up money for some sort of experimental treatment or something like that. And whoopsie. But I don't know if there's anything special for. Oh yeah, there it is. That's one I've actually done before in sparring, I do believe. I can't remember how successfully, not especially successfully. So here I start in a Falcon again. Hang on, let's go back. So here's the Falcon. I pretend to strike. So I give the, I do a passing step, I do the movement. Admittedly, this, with the elbow up, is a bit of a telltale sign. I should not have done that, because I don't think I'd do that on a real strike. And then move off, turn around, grab, and jab. And I've done a second passing step, so let's see if I can break it down into steps. First step, here, first strike, and notice I'm going around. Second step. So I start back here, left foot forward, right foot forward, left foot forward. and it's all in tune with the. There we are. So yeah, I'm not sure about chainmail coifs. In terms of wearing them, I'm not sure. But one thing that's worth noting is that on historical mail, I have got. Let's open up another folder. Pictures. Medieval. This is all pictures that are historical. Excuse me, even though it does include some Renaissance pictures, so not an accurate description. But that's a small image. Trying to find a good example of some mail, because usually this is a good one. Actually, no, it shows them fairly separate. Okay, refuting what I was just about to say, which is that the hoods tend to be attached as part of the actual shirt in some cases. Excuse me, they're wearing helmets. It's hard to see on that. Okay, this one's alright, I suppose. You can see this guy's wearing his shirt. Maybe you can't quite see, but it looks like a reasonable example of where you've got the hood, which is actually attached to the main hauberk itself. So you wouldn't necessarily have them as separate parts. You have, a chainmail shirt, gloves, hat or hood, and then the other parts. You'd actually have almost like a onesie, but a twosie. You'd have the legs. Actually, that's a three, because you'd have your right leg, which would go from the hip down, maybe down to the foot as well. Left leg, same thing. And then the shirt gives all the rest. You'd have the shirt, which includes the sleeves, and the gloves, all in one item as a mitten, almost like you're seeing on this guy's gambeson. The padding, again, goes around the sleeve, through to the glove, all as one item, which would do it on the hands and the hood, all attached to one shirt. Almost like, starting to head towards some sort of armoured onesie pyjamas. Also, his donkey is strapped on a swing. No. Let's see if I've got. Okay, there's another good example. He's got his gloves, and you see this depiction sometimes where if people want to use their hands outside of the glove, they just basically take the glove off, keep the mail on, and they just see it sort of drooping like this. So that clearly shows the glove. It's not just there as some weird pocket or some dead weight. It's part of the glove that he's taken off so he can point his finger, which you could probably do with the mitten anyway. You just sort of point with your hand, but there you go. And there you can see a draping hood, which is all part of the one shirt, which I imagine is a better design than having them separate. Plate boots, I don't know, let's have a look. Whoopsie, it's a GIF. GIF, whatever. Plate boots? Where? Because a lot of the pictures have boots that are plated. Which pictures were I looking at? Sometimes. Hang on, let's go back to some of the pictures I was looking at before. No. Mail. Oh, here we are. There's another example. Gloves. Shirt. Hood. You might have a ventail or something that's a separate attachment to go over the mouth, the covering the face, but the actual hood and the rest are all one item. Anyway, another example, even though that's ironically depicting David and Goliath. So it's historically accurate for the medieval period, but at the same time, it's completely historically inaccurate because Goliath would not be wearing this. So for them, the medieval people, this is very historically accurate, but for what it's actually supposed to be depicting, it's very inaccurate. So little contradiction there. Anyway, you get some plate boots and things, but I don't know which. Oh, wearing them in a video. Ah, yes, it's not too much lag. Right, these. Whoops. Pause. There we are. These are not plate boots. They are in fact Red Dragon greaves. Self-plug time. I actually did a video on that. I can... Oh, it was another one of those with slightly obnoxiously loud music on it, but the actual content is good. You know, I was thinking I might redo a few of my previous videos. Definitely redoing the one about Celtic fighting, because I needed to show more sources and references why I thought what I thought. But, I mean, some of the others where I think the content is good, I might redo them just to make them stylistically more exciting and entertaining as well. But anyway, that aside, yeah, I've covered the Red Dragon Greaves. Let's find it. Hang on. Finished YouTube videos. Red Dragon Gloves Greaves. Here we are. Hello everyone. It's myself, Jonathan, also known as the generally compare them. So I've got these. So I compare them to those. So I compare them to the plate greaves, the really cheap naff ones that were just crap, very heavy. Well, not so much the weight that's bad, but the design. They're very uncomfortable and don't articulate or do anything much, and they're too loose for the straps. That aside, I talk about the Red Dragon Greaves, how they're articulated, how they cover and the straps and how they attach the protection, bits like that. Long story short, I really like them. They're very good for sparring, even against steel weapons. And things like the Red Dragon gloves, you can't very well use against steel weapons. You'd have to worry about getting sort of, you know, impact through them quite a bit, because they're not that great. You know, I see a number of watchers is dropping, so tell you what, I shall wrap it up by now, and I'll render the video, which would just have stopped the streaming because it requires a lot of processing power, and then you can enjoy a good bit of speed shooting. So yeah, see you possibly later today after I've uploaded that, or if not, see you another day. Cheers guys.